I'm Davy, and I'm awesome! And welcome to Davy Reviews Wrestling, where I review wrestling-related things all from the perspective of a fan, not an insider. So it's been a while since I've reviewed a wrestling documentary of some sort, and I'm fixing that today. Today, I'm going to be reviewing and highly recommending that you guys go on the WWE Network and check out The Mortician, the story of Paul Bearer. For wrestling fans of my generation, there was not a more fun to imitate manager than Paul Bearer. Honestly, I don't think there was a more fun to imitate person at all other than Paul Bearer. Maybe Randy Savage. But like Randy Savage, every wrestling fan had their Paul Bearer impression. Oh yes, we did! Growing up being a fan of wrestling, we all loved Paul Bearer. Then we hated him when he turned on The Undertaker. Hated him even more when he brought in Kane. But then loved it all the more when him and The Undertaker got back together. Even though at the time they were both evil. And then of course growing up and being an adult fan, we all just realized how much we loved Paul Bearer. Like every single time they'd bring Paul Bearer back, it would be just a nostalgia kick right in the
Captain Winky!
And we would just go nuts. Pun intended. This documentary chronicles Paul Bearer's career. Not just his career though, what made him want to get into wrestling, him becoming a wrestling fan in the early 60s when he was a kid. But also for some weird reason that even he didn't understand, being a fan of, well, death. Kind of in the same vein as Chris Jericho, where Chris Jericho had two dreams, to be in music and to be in wrestling, and achieve both. William Moody, aka Paul Bearer, had two dreams himself, to be in wrestling and to be a mortician. Chris Jericho's was a little less dark. But like Chris Jericho, achieved both of those dreams. He grew up, figured out how to get into wrestling, became a wrestler for a time, but wrestling really wasn't working out for him until somebody said, hey, have you ever tried being a manager? And thus, William Moody became Percy Pringle, which a lot of really old wrestling fans will remember from places like World Class Championship Wrestling. And it chronicles some of his time in the territory days, mostly World Class, until things aren't working out. He's about to quit wrestling, and he gets a call from Ravishing Rick Rude, somebody he managed as Percy Pringle, to give Vince McMahon a call. Vince McMahon does call him, wants him in the fold, and as soon as Vince McMahon found out that he had an actual degree in mortuary science, meaning he was an actual undertaker, it clicked. A lot of us wrestling fans will remember this, some of you might not, so I'll give you a quick history lesson. The Undertaker was introduced by Ted DiBiase, but originally managed by Brother Love, who we all now know as Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard did a lot of work behind the scenes in wrestling, which meant he couldn't be Undertaker's manager on the road. So they decided they needed to get a new manager. When they found out that William Moody, Percy Pringle, whatever you wanted to call him, was an actual Undertaker, they said, this will be perfect. He can manage the Undertaker. And apparently while coming up with a name, Road Warrior Hawk jokingly said, call him Paul Bearer. Get it? Get it? Sad thing is, as a kid, for a while I didn't. But from there it took off. Not just William Moody's career, but the Undertaker's career. So much so that interviews with Mark Calloway making it very clear that he thinks he would not be where he is today without Paul Bearer. Which is crazy to think, considering the Undertaker is one of, if not the most iconic character to ever be in wrestling. It then chronicles more of their time together as Paul Bearer being his manager until their split when he started managing Mankind. Even talks about why. They wanted to promote The Undertaker more of himself, which meant that Paul Bearer had basically gone as far as he was going to go with The Undertaker. So they put him with a guy they just brought in, Mankind, Mick Foley, and it took off from there. It also has interviews with Mick Foley talking about he wouldn't be where he was if Paul Bearer hadn't have given him that push start when he was in the WWF, now E, at the time, which is awesome for me because I am a huge Mick Foley mark. I say Mick Foley versus Mankind because Mankind, Cactus Jack, Do Love, I loved it all. And of course went into what would make Glenn Jacobs finally a star. Isaac Yankem didn't work out, Big Diesel didn't work out, and I know, who would have thought those two characters wouldn't have worked out? But what did finally work out is Kane, who was the storyline brother of The Undertaker and son of Paul Bearer. And from there it goes into his time with Kane, eventually getting back together with The Undertaker for a spell, and then sadly his wife's health decline. His wife, who had gotten breast cancer. The reason he needed to step out of wrestling for a while to go take care of his wife. And then also goes into his own health issues, his weight gain. Now, he was always a big guy, but apparently his weight got way out of control. Then talks about how when The Undertaker was going to be dropping the American Badass character and restarting the Dead Man character, they wanted Paul Bearer with him at first. Well, Paul Bearer didn't want to come back at the time because of his health issues and his weight gain. So, as a signing bonus, Vince McMahon paid for him to get a gastric bypass, which would help him lose weight. So he came back, we all marked out, until Undertaker killed him. Then he came back again killed him, until he came back again, and I'm pretty sure died a few more times. Which kind of became a running joke of him being wrestling's Kenny. Not that one. Then goes into the tragedy of him having to bury his wife, who eventually succumbed to the breast cancer, and how they had a 30-year marriage, which in the wrestling business is very, very rare. And then towards the end of it, of course, talks about William Moody's actual death in 2013 due to a heart attack. But how that same year, they inducted him into the Hall of Fame, his children accepted the award on his behalf, and then The Undertaker and CM Punk do a storyline where CM Punk is mocking William Moody, which I like that they put this in the documentary, because we had The Undertaker, we had Mankind, and we had Kane, all out of character, commenting on the fact that some people felt that that storyline was very disrespectful to William Moody, but however, William Moody would have absolutely loved it. So all of you can shut up now, he would have liked it. Overall, this was a great documentary. It was hard to take my eyes away from it. I was getting very nostalgic, remembering big chunks of my childhood that involved wrestling. And of course, during my childhood, one of the biggest things in wrestling was the pair of The Undertaker and Paul Bearer. They were such a big part that even when I wasn't the die-hard super wrestling mark like I am now, we all still knew who The Undertaker and Paul Bearer were. They were iconic. They're still iconic. And this was a great documentary to chronicle the iconic life of William Moody, aka Percy Pringle, aka Paul Bearer. I very much enjoyed it, and I highly recommend that you guys go on the WWE Network and check it out for yourself. So there you have it. That's my wrestling review this week. Reviewing The Mortician, the story of Paul Bearer. Hope you guys check it out. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you'll get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of this documentary. Tell me your memories of Paul Bearer. Tell me things you want me to talk about in future videos. Love you guys.